It's a beautiful day in the Gump Report. A beautiful day in the Gump Report. Will it be yours? This sounds so stupid. I couldn't help it. I had to try it. I'm sorry. If anyone's ever seen Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, it came out in the 50s and early 60s, mid to early 60s. Well before I was born still. I was born in 71. 50 years old coming, baby. And he used to be, hello boys and girls, this is Mr. Rogers. What do we got here today in our neighborhood? Isn't it a nice day in the neighborhood? Sometimes it felt creepy. But the guy was actually quite nice. He wasn't no freak. He wasn't no weird guy. That was back in the day where you could honestly believe a guy on TV could actually be nice, friendly, kind, and teach you something. Unlike now, where if you try to say even one little damn word on either television, which is almost non-existent, or on YouTube, where somebody's going to say, we need to cancel that guy's ass, this is what you get. Welcome to Gump Report number, I believe, 6, because I messed up on number 5, and I had to put it at the bottom. That pissed me off, but you get my point. Welcome to the Gump Report. You never know what you're going to get on this show, as you heard with my bad singing. Okay, you see from the title. First thing we're going to do, it is not Impact Wrestling. It is Brandi Rhodes. Now, I would like to show an image of Brandi Rhodes, of the Twitter posting of her posing, but it's better I do not. I might leave a connection below. So you can go over to nodq.com. I believe that's where I got it from. nodq.com. And I might put the connection where they showed the Twitter feed of her, showing a little bit of belly, a little bit of leg, and a whole lot of cleavage with some titty. Who doesn't love a little bit of Brandi Rhodes? Everybody loves a little touch of Brandi. I know I'm not saying her name correctly. I'm doing it on purpose. But let's put it in perspective. Brandi's at least 6 months pregnant by now. I think 5 or 6 months easily. Now her and her man are doing what Ms. and Mrs. of WWE is doing. They're getting their own show called Road to the Top, I believe that's what it's called. And in the next, I think in April maybe, it'll be coming out. They've already probably recorded at least a good couple of episodes. Now, do I think it's stupid? No. They want to try and do something more to try and drum up more publicity for AEW. Does it mean that it's going to translate to AEW Dynamite getting views? I don't know. It's always a very weird thing when you use reality television to sponsor another show other than the reality television. Look, more than 20 years ago, Real World came out. It was like 30 years ago now. Oh my gosh. 30 years ago, Real World came out in the 90s. And when it comes down to it, it was only about Real World on MTV. It was highly popular. And Michael Mizanin, I forgot his name. It's been so long I even said his name. The Miz was on the damn show at one point. He was. It helped him to give him the strength, or whatever you want to believe, to go into WWE because he's been a nutty fan all his life. Will this drum up interest in AEW? Like I said, I don't know. But what you have done, Brandi Rhodes, the husband of Cody Rhodes, the sister-in-law of Dustin Rhodes, and the daughter-in-law of Dustin Rhodes himself, baby. You just showed some belly, some leg, and a nice pair of titties with a beautiful face. Now, do I believe she made a big mistake with this? Well, it's going to come down to this. You got some people out there that's going to look at that image, they're going to grab it, put it on Pornhub, and they're going to use her face on every image they can get their hand on if they hadn't already done it with her titties and ass. But now, Brandi Rhodes has already shown some tits. So will it help that this sooner or later, I think Cody gets a bit jealous. It's only a matter of time when some people, like myself, who are reviewers, that do snip some snippets, put it on their YouTube channel, they may get a copyright strike. I'm not saying they will, but it's a possibility because look what happened with AEW and the botch that they had on their pay-per-view. They were so upset. What did they do? DMCA'd a lot of the videos that were up that showed the botch. They just took them down on Twitter. And I think they did a little bit on YouTube. I'm not sure. It's been a while. I forgot. But you never know when it comes to people running a company. You guys need to understand the reputation of a company that you produce doesn't just go by making whatever product you do, or in this case, whatever wrestling content you produce. It also goes by the people who are running it. And what Brandi did, you never know, because sooner or later some controversy is going to come up. And what happened if she and Cody were doing some business and decided to record it and it was on a phone when they were out, like what happened with Paige? Someone hacked her damn phone and got those images. What happened if Cody and Brandi were like that? You never know what things like that could happen. That could be a problem, or it could be from any of the other wrestlers. Things like that could happen where they're going to have to do damage control. Now, mind you, this is not 100% bad. She didn't show her breast completely. She looks sexy, even with a big belly. I'm sure, like, the Sleg Daddy wishes he could have put something in that belly. Not me. Give me the woman without any children. I've already gone through that. I never want another child again. I just want to be with that person permanently. I'll cut my ability to have children off. Snip, snip. But you never know what's going to happen. This could bite them in the ass eventually. Not that this particular picture will be brought back. But it could be that sooner or later, as more and more they try to express themselves, that's Brandi, Cody, and anyone else in the company, sooner or later, some incident's going to come up and it will have to be addressed. There may be no problem with Brandi showing her belly, showing some knees, and showing some of that ass. But sooner or later, something may come up. It eventually happens. This is just my point of view. And now what you're here for. If anybody's been watching still, this is what you're going to get. I think I talked about this weeks before. Because of NXT possibly moving to Tuesday night, you're going to have a problem with Impact Wrestling. Well, here, let me crank this back. On Tuesday, what do you have? You have MLW, you have NWA, which is on Fight TV, so they should be perfectly all right. And now you have NXT along with Impact Wrestling. You got about 4 companies on the same day showing their wares. I knew Impact is going to have an issue. Flat out. Look, you can say, and I say this to every one of my subscribers. One, thank you. I don't usually say this a lot, even though I say them in the comments. But thank you. You are one of the reasons why I'm still doing this, because yes, I want to express myself, but knowing that people want to interact with me with the type of issues I have means a lot. It does. And this kind of goes also with Impact Wrestling. Impact, as much as you love it, and it gets good comments probably on its Twitter, on its own webpage, on Twitch, it makes no damn difference. Impact compared to NXT, there is no way it's going to survive easily. There is no way. It doesn't make a difference. You believe that the content of NXT is trash. As I've said, and it looks like I'm right about it, if NXT moves to Tuesday, guess who's going to be very hands-on? Vince. Vince thought, and I say this again, when AEW came into existence, Vince thought, oh, this little company with Khan, just because he thinks he got more money than me, please. He doesn't know how to run a company. He has no idea how to make a company work like I do. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take my smallest part of my show, not SmackDown, not Raw. He's taking the developmental NXT, which is a niche developmental. And he thought, 100%, I'm going to stick it on Wednesdays, and it's going to demolish them. And what happened? It never came to being. The majority of the time, NXT was ahead in the ratings against... This is getting me, because I had to think about this. NXT, they thought it was going to be high in the ratings, but it didn't happen. AEW beat them in the ratings. Very rarely NXT. I think 2 or 3 times they beat them in the rating over a year now. Only 2 or 3 times. or most of the time they were almost dead even or just slightly under them. They have never generally beat AEW constantly. Never. Never happened. Only a few times. So essentially, Vince got egg on his face and he said, it's like Khan took an egg that stood right next to him because he thought that he's going to say, you know, Vince, I'm sorry, you're right, I'm an idiot. He stood with him to take a picture and he said, you know, Vince, and Tony Khan said, what? You got egg on your face. That's what it came down to. Vince thought he got Tony Khan because he thought his most smallest and most uncared about, in his eyes, part of his show could easily wipe the floor with anybody. Ergo, what he thought about TNA. He never considered TNA a threat. He never thought TNA could ever be anything. It was just a small indie show that was created by Jeff Jarrett and his dad and could never get anywhere. So now, you got him standing with Tony Khan like this, and Tony said, hey Vince, I got something for you. Egg in his face. Flat out, that's what Vince got. And he does not like that. Vince is the type of person that refuses to take egg on his face. Going like this, saying, you motherfucker. And just laugh it off. He will never do that. Vince has an ego bigger than my apartment building. And my apartment building is from 1910. Or is it 1910 or 1912? When my apartment building was built. It's a big old building. And his ego is bigger than this. So when it comes down to it, if it is moving to Tuesdays, you know damn well Vince is going to be strongly influencing it. If it hasn't already been felt, guys, Vince is going to be more hands-on. Now, will Triple H still be a part of it? To be honest, and this is what I'm thinking, Triple H will probably be a part of it temporarily and eventually will be phased out and do something else. Maybe he'll just do basic talent relations, checking for new people. But I truly believe Vince is going to care more about NXT because he does not like to get beat by anyone, even if it's an extremely minor little shit of a promotion like AEW. Now, let's go back to Impact Wrestling. Impact, along with MLW, along with NWA, is on Tuesdays. Yes, MLW is still being shown on YouTube. So they're not going to be a direct competitor. But NWA is on Fight. So is Impact Wrestling to a certain extent. And also it has its own Impact Plus show along with Access. So they got Access TV. They have their own app of Impact Plus. And no, they're not on Fight TV. I'm sorry. Impact usually isn't shown on Fight TV. But it is shown on Pluto TV. So if you watch Pluto TV, eventually you will see an episode of Impact that's going to come out this coming Tuesday. So you will eventually see it. Vince is not going to accept that it's moved to Tuesdays and it'll do mediocre. He's not going to like that because he's already gotten beat on Wednesday. So this is what was going to happen. This is what I said generally. And I knew either one, Impact had that better writing and needed more. They needed to have more interaction with AEW badly. They needed it. They needed it so badly. And what have I seen? No. We've had Carl and Luke go over to AEW, and yeah, a couple of times you've seen Kenny. Now he's involved a little bit more because of what's going to happen at Rebellion and possibly getting the title, but there's almost been no true interaction next to Matt Hardy, next to Finjuice, next to Private Party. Yeah, Matt Cardona's now joined there, but what else do you usually do? You do not see any major Impact people on AEW. And that has been the major issue for me personally. I've been patient. And many people say, be calm, patience, show a little control. There's a point where you have to make an understanding here. Whatever agreement that Impact Wrestling has with AEW is not enough. Yes, Impact is an older company. There's no lie about it. We know this. It's been around since 2002. But once it left Spike TV, it became a mess. It wasn't doing great on Spike, but now it's a mess. And it has no national exposure. I'll say that again. No exposure. Internationally, It makes no damn difference. And I'm saying this to all the people who watch Impact. Listen to my words. It has an international exposure, of course it does. But that means nothing when it doesn't translate to the United States. And this is what many people don't want to accept. Many people don't want to hear. Who cares if they have a huge following in Africa, going across most of the nations? Is that here? No. Are they based here? Hell yeah. Have they been trying to break into the US market and be competitive with the WWE? Not in the sense of being here. They can't. They just never would get there. But would they be here? Hell yeah, they could. Guess where they've been for the last years since they've been there? Look, they're not WCW, where they were always either here, went to here, then here, then faded. They've never even gotten here. They're here. In the United States, they've never been there. Now, internationally, it's a different story. They could have been easily here. Of course, they can never beat WWE. WWE is always going to have the better venue, better exposure for ads, better exposure on any type of network television that is in the other countries. It is always going to wipe the floor with them because guess what? Vince will always pay for advertisement that what Jeff Jarrett and the Carters could never do. Never do. They cannot outperform the WWE. They have been too powerful since the time of 2002. There's no way to do it. So no matter what, Impact Wrestling has never been at the same stage as WWE. But it doesn't have to be. And I say this, and I know people are going to get mad saying, why are you bashing it? Don't you love it? Of course I do. And I'm not bashing it. I'm just being a realist. Impact Wrestling has always been easily 5 steps back from WWE. And that's fine. Because people wanted an alternative. They didn't want a general competitor all the time. They just wanted an alternative to WWE. Some believe at one point they could be a competitor. And once they reached their plateau and never got there, people thought, you know what? They'll never hit the WWE's level. But whatever we got, we could be happy with. That's what happened to ECW. But like Paul Heyman said, a lot of factors screwed up the business. Now, the only thing Paul won't say is that I screwed it up as well. He'll never admit that some of that was him. Now, mind you, he had a bad network that he couldn't get the contract out and he got screwed. But he also screwed it up himself. Flat out kept getting himself in trouble with the court. So it was a combination of two things for him. In this situation, what did we get for Jeff? Jeff ran it for a while, but then could not afford it, went to the Carters, and now you got Access TV owning it. After leaving Spike, going to Destination America, and then moving around a little bit more and now ending up on Access TV. So will they do better on Thursday? This is what it's coming down to. Will they do better on Thursday? It depends. Because it still goes right back to what I've been saying for so freaking long. That I've been telling everyone for more than 2 years. Be careful. Do not get your expectations so freaking high. Because every time we've gone through this with Impact for years. Where even when there were Carters there and they weren't there. Every time they said we got something good and they start getting somewhere. Felt like a fucking rock. Look what happened in 2020. Who screwed up the company the most? Tessa Blanchard. Tessa screwed up the company by not wanting to go back. She refused to go back. She didn't ask to get out of a contract. She refused to work. So they fired her ass. It makes no difference if you agree with her or not. She fucked the company. She screwed over Don, Scott, every bit of the creative team, all the other wrestlers, and one wrestler in particular, Sami Callihan, allowed her to stick a damn nightstick up his ass, swing it around and say, well, I am the best there is. And he said, yes, ma'am. He took all that for her. And where did it get him? Nowhere. He's working with Trey. And there's nothing wrong with Trey, but shouldn't he be treated better than what he is now? And I don't care if they say, well, he wants to be there. What is the situation there? They're not good. Just because they were AEW and hopefully a little more of New Japan Pro Wrestling, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Camera work is still bad. I've said it. I'm going to keep saying it on every video that I produce for Impact Wrestling, even though I love the company. And I'm saying this, and you can tell any of them. I love you guys at Impact Wrestling. All the wrestlers, the people in the production, the lighting, the sound people. I know they bust their butt, but let's be honest. Your product still is not good. Your lighting is still a bit of an issue. Worse, you don't even allow the people at home, I say this, Home, home, to see everything there. You are crazy enough to consider that the best way to give a product to be seen is to do close-up shots like this. And you honestly believe people are going to enjoy your content when they can't see more than only 40% of what's going on in the ring, when the only thing you have to do is what AEW is doing, and they pull back their cameras and let them be seen. You're not doing it. And then worse yet, whoever's running the cameras and doing post-editing can't even know how to switch the cameras properly, either in post-editing or while it's being filmed. Someone is incredibly sloppy. Who wants to watch a product that you can't even barely see what's happening? They talk about, oh, that great move. But if you're like this with a guy's head, how do you see the move? How do you see the move? Tell anyone below, tell me, how do you see the freaking move that is the most spectacular move, but the majority of the time the camera work is out of phase and you see a guy's ass? And Extreme Deeps, I believe in DEE, if you're watching this. One, thank you for your comment. I kind of wish you were a girl so much. If you're a woman, I'd be loving you. But essentially speaking, you said it in your comment. You laughed at me because you said, dude, you said about the ref's ass, you couldn't believe that I was joking. And that's from my NWA review. Back of the Attack. You couldn't believe it. But guess what? I showed you the image. I don't have it now. I deleted it because I don't keep my images or anything after I do the work. You have no idea how much stuff you keep. If I decide to keep all the videos I produce, I wouldn't need a hard drive that's more than 5 to 10 terabytes large after almost 9 straight years. It's a lot of data. So unfortunately, I don't have the image. But knowing Impact Wrestling and NWA, I'll be seeing more refs' asses, and I'll keep showing it to you. If I'm not going to be showing the women's tits to you, the women's asses to you, the women's heads and faces or back of their heads, you'll be seeing more of those images. It will be coming. The box section of my videos will not go away until they ease up on that and make it easier to see their product. So I just ranted again. Oh my gosh. This is the bottom line. AEW looks like it's staying where it is. NXT, if it does go to Tuesday, we'll have to compare to MLW, NWA, and Impact at least until it moves in April. And when it moves to April, you got a new set of situations. When it comes down to it, will the writing be better? Honestly, I don't know. I doubt it. I doubt they're going to do anything more than what they're doing now. So what will this gain for Impact Wrestling? If they don't change the style of either camera work, they also need to change up their creative team's work. And if they're not changing the camera work and creative team, you wonder why people are not watching like they used to on Twitch. Twitch had 9,000 to 10,000 people watching for almost 3 weeks. And it's now down to 3 to 4. There's got to be a reason. It can't be because Impact's, you just go over to the app and everything. People still will look on it on Twitch. They'll keep looking. It's got to be a reason why. Could it be because the writing kind of sucks? Could also be that you can't see what's going on in the ring when it's time to watch it. You guys tell me below how you feel, how it thinks, how it is. I mean, what am I saying? Here is another episode of the Gump Report. I really hope you enjoyed. I'm sorry I couldn't show you Brandi Rose's belly and titties and slender legs. She has a cute face, though. I'll never say that Brandi Rose isn't a gorgeous woman. And I truly, truly hope that Cody Rhodes, this guy is smart enough in real life that eventually he said in about maybe 2 or 3 years, he's like 36 or 34, he's going to retire from wrestling and focus on production only. That's what I hope he'll do. So he'll have a longer life with his child and his woman. And I really hope he doesn't screw up with his woman. I hope she understands. I hope he understands. You need to be good. Peace.